All right.
So this episode, we've got one of the most exciting guests we've ever had on PKA, Dr. Jordan Peterson. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for the invitation, guys.
So I was thinking about it, and I realized probably most of this episode, people aren't going to really give a shit what the three of us are having to talk about too much. So I just want to dive right into you. It's so fascinating, all your topics. I've never started watching a lecture series that I didn't have to watch on the internet and kept clicking onto new ones. Like, oh,
yeah, can I apply for a
class?
credit or something from you at this point? I'm about 12 hours in.
Definitely a form of illness. I don't know what's going on exactly.
So the most recent thing to happen with you was, and I haven't heard you speak about this anywhere because it was so recent, just 2 days ago, your YouTube channel got taken down. Have you been able to uncover what that was about?
No. So what happened was I signed into my Gmail account in the morning, my main Gmail account, and it was disabled. So I filled out Google's little form that you can fill out if they disable your account, and I figured it was just a glitch of one form or another, and I just launched a new YouTube channel the other day, so I thought maybe there was a technical error or something, but anyways, I filled out their little form, and then about an hour later they got back to me and said, you violated our terms of service, which is what they'd said to begin with, and we're not going to reinstate you. And they didn't say why. They said, you can read our terms of service. Oh. It's like, yeah, well,
you figure it out.
I read that.
Yeah. Now you need to guess which terms you broke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I hadn't been doing anything different that I had been doing for years. Well, a year anyways, but for years really, because I've been posting YouTube videos for a long time. And so that was not good because I have like 150,000 emails in that account, and then my calendar was down, plus I couldn't get at my YouTube account. And I couldn't contact YouTube because you can't contact YouTube unless you can get into your YouTube account, which, is actually a technical problem, you might say. And so then I tweeted about it, and I got somebody talk to me from an Ottawa AM radio station, and the Daily Caller wrote a story about it, and Joe Rogan mentioned it, and a variety of other people, and lo and behold, an hour later they turned it back on. So
I guess the terms weren't that important that you broke.
Well, it's look, I feel I have some sympathy for these massive social media outlets because they're dealing with a very complex problem, right, which is how to regulate mass communication. But I can't say that was precisely handled with any degree of elegance. A, they could have warned me. B, when I filled out their form, they could have told me what I'd actually done. The problem is we're turning over our communication to large corporations with no judiciary, essentially, and no appeal process, and unspecified susceptibility to lobbying and political interference. And worse, we're going to build that sort of thing right into the infrastructure of the net, right? Because all this stuff will be handled by intelligent agents in no time flat. Yeah. Semi-intelligent agents, unfortunately.
Google and YouTube are notoriously difficult to deal with in manners like that unless you have some sort of an inside contact or something. I've dealt with all kinds of issues with them like that, where they would overreact and an automated system was about to delete a channel that's incredibly profitable. It's like, you're going to lose hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's up to some guy making, I don't want to be insulting, but some minimum wage employee somewhere is just like, well, you violated the terms, I guess. And it's like, oh, shit, I have to talk to someone with some authority who actually knows something up there. You're clueless about the entire situation. This is outrageous. Do you think that it's what happened to you in particular was because of some pressure being applied from elsewhere? Yes. Some extemporaneous force coming onto YouTube or Google and telling them, hey, we don't like the message that we're seeing here. This is hate speech or something like that.
Well, it's hard to shake that suspicion because, look, first of all, let's say it was a mistake. It's okay, fine. I fill out your form, you review it. But then when you send me the results of your review and so quickly, and you say, well, we reviewed this issue and we're not going to turn your channel back on, it's very difficult to shake the suspicion that if it was just a simple technical matter, they could have said something. So it was either handled very incompetently or it was political. Those are the two alternatives as far as I can tell. And I find it quite, it's not mere coincidence as far as I'm concerned that as soon as there was a substantial amount of media attention, that they just turned it right back on. And they haven't sent me any explanation at all yet.
That won't happen.
Yeah, you won't. I'm still stuck on the idea of it's incompetence. I might be naive on this. But
Well, you know the rule. Assume incompetence before malevolence.
I hear you. I was thinking of that too. Because YouTube has a lot of content to monitor, and they do it mostly with semi-intelligent agents, you call them, or bots or algorithms. Take it as you will. And when you need to have it reviewed, the easiest thing for someone to do is just rubber stamp what the bot said. And it could have been some semi-organized campaign of people saying you violated guidelines. Like I've had that. I give away a percentage of my channel's profits just so that I'm not susceptible to those automated things. Like a human has to shut down my channel, and that protects me. I think that maybe you need that. You need to be a managed channel, I think it's called, so that 1,000 people can't just say you're bullying when you're not and get your channel shut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I'm not correct, it seems like your YouTube channel, you had all of this content out there before you really took your biggest steps into notoriety, and then so everyone's sort of discovering this back catalog of really informative stuff. I've heard you speak about it, and you're like, oh, well, this video had 8,000 views, and this one had 15,000 views. And I look at those things now, and it's hard to find videos of you that don't have 100, 200,000 views. It's really interesting, and it's definitely a good litmus test to show that what you're saying is not just what people want to hear, it's what people need to hear. There are a lot of people starving to hear that.
People have to be crazy if they wanted to hear it. I mean, it's nothing that you'd want to hear. It's about the worst things you could ever think of. Your own inadequacy and your lack of ability to take responsibility and your personal contributions to the evils of the world. And it's not exactly bubblegum marketing material. And it's quite stunning to me that it's become so.
Do you think any of it, like the fact that people are enjoying it, has to do with it's almost like seizing a sense of agency back, where it's like I have the control of these things, I can sort myself out, I can get this done, I can get that done, I'm not a perennial victim of other people?
I certainly hope so. I mean, that would be wonderful. And my aim has been, as a psychologist all along, as a clinical psychologist, as an educator for that matter, and as a philosopher to the degree that I am one, was to aim at strengthening the individual. Everything that my little company does, the programs that we're making and all of that is designed exactly at singular people, And I think that people have been fed a diet of freedom and rights for so long that they're absolutely sick and tired of it, and that they're ready for a message of responsibility. And I think that's especially true, as far as I can tell, looking at the demographics and the response. I think that's especially true of young men. Thank God for that. Yeah, it's very curious, but very heartening, that's for sure.
I think young men are thirsting for something, right? Because a lot of their standard roles are being taken from them or being usurped in one way or another. They're looking for a purpose.
They're also being criticized all the time for. See, the radicals who are going after masculinity can't distinguish between tyranny and authority, or tyranny and competence. Because, and one of the things that, again, I would say that especially the radical left is pretty appalling in this regard, is that most hierarchies in Western society are hierarchies of competence. Now, there's a certain degree of corruption, and there's a certain degree of power and manipulation and all of that, but compared to what? That's the first question. Compared to Russia, China, or the rest of the world? I mean, God, most places are they're so corrupt that it's absolutely beyond comprehension and dangerous to boot. And most of the systems that we have in the West function so well that it's an ongoing miracle, and that's mostly because competent people are running them.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are having this conversation, and look, the power's still on.
What is this? Go ahead, Kyle.
I was going to say we were talking about the hyperinflation in Venezuela earlier. We're talking about a couple of failed socialist regimes.
That's not real communism,
Of course not. Real communism's never been tried.
That's right. Real communism is the communism that works.
They really not. Those people do themselves a disservice when they use that attack. When they say real socialism, real Marxism, real communism, whatever their little blend of things has never been tried. What they should say is they should point out actual times when there was intervention from, say, the United States to come in and maybe destabilize a socialist government. That's that's an actual thing. But you can't just say that it's never been tried, because
You
that's
can
what,
if-
we had a whole Cold War about that. Like, it was in the news. I read about it. It's been tried.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. But nothing seems to put a damper on arrogant utopian dreams. And
Right?
that statement always means, if I was the person who'd been in Stalin's shoes, I would have brought the utopia into being. If the naive person doesn't realize if they were that sort of person, Stalin would have had them shot in no time flat. So, like he
Yeah,
had,
I never thought about it like that. It really is like saying, if I were the super powerful dictator, it would have gone really well.
Oh, it's
Like, that's
precisely
just
that.
the way of saying
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. It's well, with my knowledge of communism and my sophisticated ability to manipulate all these complex substructures of the world, I would have brought the kingdom of God onto Earth far as rapidly as could be hoped for. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know, man. You better be careful what you think and say, because that's just not not wise.